This is the Sunshine Headlines podcast.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Sunshine Headlines podcast. My name is Tito. I'm here with a full crew, and I'm happy to have everyone back.
I've been deposed.
I'm here with
Leanne,
Alex,
Lynn,
Clay. I love doing that, and especially I love editing it because everybody's voice is just so pretty. I love it.
Yeah. Thank you.
So today we're going to do something a little bit different.
I'm going to ride that high for the rest of the week.
Welcome.
In the smolders of your apartment.
I'm not huffing pure carbon dioxide from the rest of my apartment.
No, that's how you get high.
Yes, we are very lucky to have Lynn here today
I'm
for
very
multiple
happy to be here
reasons.
As well.
So thank you for joining us, Lynn.
Only one of us has survived.
Thank you for
dog
surviving.
arsonist.
I'm so glad I survived.
Yeah.
I wasn't even in the house when it happened.
Mom survived. Your pets survived.
God, me too.
Yeah.
Glad.
Everyone,
Arsonist
love your
dog.
pets. Give them a hug.
Do we agree on the dog arsonist name? Was it
Barksonist?
Barksonist. Yeah, Barksonist. Barksonist. For anyone curious, my dog set the house on fire. She turned on the stove.
with murder in her eyes?
Yep.
Gremlins.
She turned on the stove and burned a bunch of dog food in a plastic Tupperware that she also knocked on the stove.
Coincidence?
She was just trying to cook dinner.
She saw you cooking all the time. Just figured she'd give it a try.
Listen,
She was like, honestly, this kind of sucks. I bet if I heat it up, it'll be better.
Yeah.
she did what we all did at the dawn of humanity. Tried to burn something to make it taste better.
Yep.
It didn't work, though. She did still try eating it.
I mean, I still mess up on that sometimes.
Oh, no, she absolutely... There's burnt dog food outside my apartment she keeps trying to eat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you took her
She thought she had a
the
good
dinner
idea.
she was cooking.
So 10 out of 10 would do again.
Imagine if you made hot cereal and someone threw it outside.
Why the fuck would I make hot cereal?
Oatmeal, man.
Porridge. Or
Oatmeal?
Oatmeal is hot cereal.
Oh, yeah.
What?
Yeah.
That's the
grits.
word I was looking for. Oatmeal, not porridge.
I didn't know.
It's alright.
Oatmeal's
Yeah.
oatmeal to me. I know in
literally-
HEB it says
it's
hot
a
cereal,
cereal
but
drink.
like
You know the Quaker oats and stuff? That started as a cereal.
I had no
I mean,
idea.
I'm aware of that. I wouldn't call it hot cereal.
It's hot cereal.
It makes you
Ask
feel like
any
you're
old
taking a bowl
person.
of cereal and putting it in the microwave.
Would
Yeah.
you call grits hot cereal?
Yes.
Yes.
I hate you all. I hate you all. Why did I come back here? Should have stayed in the house
Because
fire.
your house burned down.
My house almost burned down.
Today we're stepping into the shadows of the otherworldly with a chilling tale that leaves you asking, are we really alone? This is an episode that we're doing that's part of our Moonshine Headline podcast series, where we delve into one haunting topic this week that at one point in history was captured the attention of the world and made it to the headlines.
Spooky.
Hell yeah.
Yep. Everything's haunted. Believe it.
Join us today as we uncover the eerie details of the Cash-Landrum Incident, a UFO encounter that happened here in Texas that has left many questions unanswered. So settle in and prepare for a journey into the unknown as we peel back the layers of this captivating mystery.
Take us there.
UFOs.
Take us there.
Dude.
Take us there.
Do just far enough off of the X-Files thing so we don't get sued.
Perfect.
Oh, I'm going to totally edit that into the intro.
I love the X-Files.
Oh,
too.
Gillian
Yeah,
Anderson's
absolutely.
so fucking hot.
I just
Yes.
recently
Fact.
rewatched
Right?
it.
Yeah.
Fact.
So, just to make sure that I'm tracking this is a real event that happened, yeah?
This is an actual event that happened.
Fuck yeah.
When I was a kid, I was obsessed with UFOs, like seriously obsessed. And I just recently realized how deep my obsession went. I don't know about you guys, but Independence Day was not just like a movie for me. It was like my personality when I was a kid.
Welcome to Earth.
And it,
America, fuck yeah.
Tito, you didn't join us for Independence Day.
We watched
yeah.
that on
No.
Independence Day.
Did you really?
Yeah, with bottomless mimosas.
I literally cry every time I hear the president, or, Bill Paxton.
We will not vanish without a fight.
Yeah, no,
Tonight
we drink every time they say.
It's our Independence Day.
Into the night.
Yeah.
What were we drinking too?
Oh, so it was Every time, was it Jeff Goldblum jumps to a random connection? Every time Will Smith curses or shouts "Welcome to Earth"
Or punches an alien.
or goes "Woo!"
Man, we were drunk.
We need to change the rules on that one.
What's wild is that like I grew up an only child, and my parents spoiled me because like I must have talked to myself all the fucking time, and so
I
like
was also an only child. I was just autistic.
I still do that.
I was raised an only child. I do have an older sister, but she's older than me, right? So that's why we
I
didn't grow
had
up
2
together.
siblings, but I was the favorite.
Oh, congratulations.
During the
Same.
deep dive of this research and this little portion of like why I wanted to include Independence Day was that I had all the fucking toys from the movie, and
Oh, wow.
it made me realize there are no good toys nowadays. Like not compared to
Absolutely not.
The way they used to be now.
Yeah, I had
there's too many small choking hazards.
one of the toys was a diorama of the downtown LA, and you press the button and it caused an earthquake for the buildings to collapse. But you also included the big spaceship from one of the things that shot actual rockets that you could fly through the diorama like if you're flying through the
that's
building.
sick as hell.
I had the
Yeah.
F-18 one that basically like you would be like, oh no, I got hit. And you'd hit a
Yeah.
button and part of the plane would pop off. But there are good toys. I know that for a fact because I got hit in the face with Mjolnir this weekend. So
Man, they do still make good toys. Lego sets are still peak.
but expensive
yeah.
as fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, I spent way too much money on a Lego set this weekend to make up for the fact that my kitchen burned down.
yeah, Legos are so
Understandable.
goddamn expensive.
Retail therapy. Yep.
Yeah.
I can't fix
It
the
was
kitchen,
beautiful,
but I
though. It's
can
the
build these
insect
Legos.
But I can
I-
recreate the Battle of Helm's Deep for only $300.
I do want to bring it back into the. I do want to bring it back into the realm of UFOs though, because
Yes.
I've been super fucking into it lately. Because I just realized how much information that the U.S. government has released on UFOs
Yeah,
in recent times.
exactly.
Oh yeah, no, it's very quiet disclosure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Oh, they
it's
did
like-
it during the pandemic. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
and all the chaos of like Trump and everything else.
Fucking
But-
everything.
fucking everything really. But so yeah, like all this information's coming out, and I'm just now like learning like, oh shit, like this has been confirmed. Like
Yeah.
this is like the U.S. government has said yes, this is a thing that's happening,
Yeah.
and
Isn't it-
Brazil and like all over the world, like this is nuts.
And a lot of former pilots are actually didn't see anything or coming out actually pointing out that they actually did see
and
something.
some of them got
Yeah.
fired for even talking about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
See,
pretty wild.
ever since all that news with the United States came out and when they've announced it, I was there, like I was watching it live when they were having the press hearing because I was just like, no, like you can't just sneak this in for me. Like I too
Yeah,
am
no,
obsessed
I was going
with
through.
UFOs.
I was like on the like live updating AP page.
Yeah.
AP
See, for
news
me,
page
I was like,
about
oh, this
giving
is
like bullet
another-
points.
For me, it was like, oh yeah, this is another UFO thing. Ha ha ha! Conspiracy theorists are everywhere, right?
Let's watch Tiger
No,
King.
it's-
But then I started looking
watch
at it, and I was
Tiger
like,
King.
wait a minute.
Yeah.
This
No, I
actually is
mean,
legit.
have you ever had a UFO experience? I guess starting off at the top. have you guys
I
ever
used
had
to
one?
actually think I got abducted, but it turns out I was just sleepwalking.
Oh,
Should I tell
damn.
the story?
Yeah, for
Should I tell
sure.
it?
I'd wake up in the
Absolutely.
hallway.
Yeah. No, if you have a legitimate story, we're getting
I would
into
love to hear it. I
We're
don't
getting
have
into
anything.
one
So
with
it's
the book,
not-
so I
we're
would love to.
technically secondhand sources.
It's-
Okay.
Yeah, so it doesn't come from me. It comes from my mom.
Oh,
And she
nice.
says when I was like 2 years old, she had also been watching X-Files. Disclaimer.
Incredible show.
Amazing.
Drinking, like she would sit in front of the TV watching X-Files with a glass of whiskey, like in the middle of the night.
Nice.
But that one night, I don't remember exactly how it went before I woke up. Like I remember she said I woke up and that I pointed at the middle of my forehead.
So she'd seen a very bright light like throughout the
this
house.
is in the middle of New Mexico in the desert.
and,
Okay.
She
Fitting.
was like very like freaked out, and then she was very worried about Leanne, so she went to check on her. But Leanne, because like Leanne had this thing when she was growing up where like she couldn't be out of sight of her,
Okay.
and so like Leanne woke up and she wasn't like freaking out or
Precursor to
anything.
my codependency.
So she like got Leanne, and Leanne was like, no, like they fixed me right here and pointed in the center of her forehead.
Wow.
And
you got
later-
lobotomized.
No, and later in life, it turns out that my pituitary gland, the pituitary gland is linked very much to the thyroid gland.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And so my pituitary gland now works overtime to compensate for my
Whoa.
thyroid gland,
Oh, wow.
which has caused it to like, it's an autoimmune disease called Hashimoto's. Yeah.
That's insane.
I don't know. It's just,
Yay.
And you called it as a kid.
But you don't get that as a kid.
See,
No. But no, yeah, like that I told her that I fixed it right here. That's like right where your pituitary gland is.
Has anyone gone to see like the Marfa lights or anything?
yes. So I have two alien stories personally. One of them being the Marfa lights. So we went on a college trip to the Marfa lights, or to Marfa, and then at night we bust over to the lights, right? And they have a whole like visitor center there, and we were all standing there, and in the distance you can see like on the horizon of the dark sky, like little dots come up, then they go across like from left to right, and then they disappear. And it truly looks like you're just seeing a highway, right? But there's nothing out there. For hundreds of miles away, there's nothing out there. And one of my buddies literally goes like, dude, this is so dumb. Like I don't see shit, like anything. And you literally see one of the lights go across the sky, go up, back, and then like shoot crossword. And we were like, what the fuck was that? And we're all freaking out. Everyone's trying to get their phones out, but we had like shitty, early
the flip phones.
Yeah, nobody can get anything at that far
goddamn
zoom.
Nokia. It won't break, but it can't take a picture worth the damn.
Yeah. And then the other time, me personally was back in our hometown, group of friends of mine, we snuck, well, it was like my girlfriend and like her friends. We snuck out to the lake and we were at this place called Black Brush on the docks. And, we had to climb down a hill to get to the docks. And out there, like you could see every star in the sky. And of course, you see shooting stars. We, joking about making wishes. You see satellites. And then we see one that was coasting across the sky. And it was actually my girlfriend at the time who pointed it out. And we all like, oh, look at it. It's crazy. It's like, another satellite. And we're like, oh, ha, ha, looking at it. And then it just went up and out. Mm-hmm. And we were like, what the fuck? We ran up, got in my truck, and we booked it. Like, we were just so scared.
Really?
Yeah, like...
Huh, that isn't how that works. Yeah.
I know, if they were going to get us, they were going to get us.
Yeah,
that's an actual...
unexplainable event.
It is an unexplainable event, and unidentified flying
nothing
object.
does that.
No, nothing.
Yeah, nothing really
naturally does that. Yeah. Satellites don't do that either.
Nope.
There's this show I've been watching too, NASA's Unexplained Files. Have you seen that?
Mm-mm.
So it goes into all this documentation that like NASA has that like they're coming out. They're like, hasn't been explained ever.
Oh, that's so cool.
Shit like that. Like the moving.
Going back into our story, this has also not been explained either. So the unknown is what makes the idea of aliens so captivating to me. And it's probably the reason why so many people struggle to believe in them. Because the truth is, we do fear what we don't understand. I mean, it's human nature, the uncertainty and the lack of evidence, and the ability to put these ideas into comfortable little compartmentalized little boxes is probably why UFO sightings always hang in the gray area of belief. We want to believe.
Gray area.
Gray area.
See what I did there? We want to believe, but, it's just, how can we? Like, really, we don't have any physical proof that's been confirmed yet, right?
Clearly we do. We have I Want to Believe on the X-Files.
I mean, on the surface, it looks like we don't have any evidence to say that we do know that. But apparently we do. Apparently, like the government
Soft disclosure is happening now.
So, yeah.
All right.
I don't know. Are you all believers or skeptics?
I'm 1,000% a believer.
I was 100% a skeptic before, but in recent year or so, I've become a true believer. Yep. I don't believe every story, obviously.
I'm probably going to fall more in the skeptic camp in that, like, while I accept that other life exists in this universe, I don't see why a backwater like ours would necessarily warrant attention.
We are like the universe's best television show.
That's fair.
Who knows?
We don't know how bad they are.
Watch
Watch
Bigfoot is actually just like the universe's Bear Grylls. He just kind of shows up to like watch us try to watch him.
They think it's an interdimensional character.
Yeah. And what's crazy to me is you have to imagine like these creatures must have cultures of themselves, right? Like they are.
I've heard such theories as like viewing like primordial life and stuff like that. Or like watching bugs or like
we have zoos.
We're the equivalent of sea monkeys.
I don't know.
I'm just saying I just don't think we would necessarily warrant attention like
tourist
that.
attraction.
I am more of a mind with Clay and the fact that I would probably fall more on the skeptic camp. I just feel like a lot of things that make people go like, fucking aliens are just fucking bullshit.
Natural phenomena we can't discuss.
Natural phenomena
we don't know
I
yet.
think it's so much more likely that it is something we just don't quite know about our own actual world than something extraterrestrial.
You could think about it in like the certain circumstance of like we've identified planets that may support like life.
Yeah.
If you actually travel like in between lands, what are the first places you're going to try to visit?
The places with life.
That could possibly sustain life.
Yeah, you wouldn't
So
go.
you wouldn't necessarily go here to try to observe us, but you'd be like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
But that's also like our understanding of it because we are
true.
Yeah,
like
but I'm
this
just saying
form of
like
carbon-based
there's
life.
other reasons than
But
just
also,
to
I don't think
come
like
see-
aliens are a part of our government and there's like lizard people and stuff or like any of that. But
See, I would,
I don't
probably
believe
believe
in
that first.
let's dive into a story of two skeptics who became believers, the Cash-Landrum Incident. It all started on a cold December night in 1980. That's how every story starts, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes reality is stranger than fiction, and then the headlines that make their way into the news usually are similar. Well, they're not always comforting. In fact, sometimes they make us question just how much we don't know about the world around us, and just how mysterious that world can affect our daily lives going forward. And actually, in fact, be devastating to our health and cause us to sue the entire U.S. government.
Because radiation poisoning
entire
is a thing
US
that has been
But
documented.
is it punny? Is it punny?
Is it punny?
On the night of December 29th, 1980, three people, Betty Cash, Vickie Landrum, and Vickie's 7-year-old grandson, Colby, were driving down a rural road of the Piney Woods area of Texas. It was a quiet night, cold and calm, but that peace wouldn't last long. In a few short moments, they would experience something that would change their lives forever. Now, to understand where this story takes place, we have to talk about the town that it takes place in, which is Dayton, Texas.
Okay.
Dayton, Texas.
Dayton.
Yeah, we all know that place.
Yeah.
I've actually never been there.
We know where it's at, though.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know it's
I've
in
been through
Texas.
a couple times.
And
I have
through
heard
it.
the name.
yeah, exactly. I've heard it too, but that's it. For those of you listening who don't know, Dayton is a small, quiet town located about 35 miles northeast of Houston. It's tucked away from the busy city life. And in 1980, it was even quieter. It actually housed fewer than 10,000 people, a very close-knit Christian community, as you would imagine here in Texas, where everyone just kind of kept at a small-town pace. Funny enough, Dayton actually hasn't changed over the years, and I did some Google searching, and yeah, they got a Walgreens and like a couple, fast food.
Wild.
This sounds
small town
like the
Texas.
town that would be
Texas. Sounds
visited
like-
by aliens,
sounds like where I grew up.
or Michael Myers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds like where I grew up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just like that tiny little town.
It's small town
that-
America, to be fair.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's 1,000% small town America. That night in December, Betty, Vickie, and Colby were on their way home from a dinner out, driving along a lonely stretch of road through the dark Piney Woods area, just outside of Dayton. I like to think that they were listening to like old school country. These two
You think they were listening to
old
Johnny
women.
Cash?
That'd be
The
awesome.
80s?
Right?
Yeah. I'd say.
I think if my last name was Cash, I'd listen to a lot of Johnny Cash. I already listened to a lot
I'm
of Johnny
going
Cash.
to Jackson.
They probably had a Johnny Cash like cassette tape, and they were just like playing it on repeat. Apparently, the two women were also big bingo avid.
Heck yeah.
yeah.
So they lived up to the stereotype.
They're
Yeah,
grandmothers.
they definitely were 1980s like grandmothers.
Yeah.
So I like to imagine they were probably like talking about bingo too.
I really hope they won it big.
Talking about bingo, the grandchild is just sitting there.
Just
like,
chilling in between them because they were driving a brand new 1-year-old Oldsmobile Cutlass, 1980 Oldsmobile Cutlass. So I don't know, it's quintessential like 80s boxcar.
Damn.
Like
Yes.
Yeah, no,
steel, like
absolutely.
made boxcar. And it was a kind of a drive that you didn't think twice about. A drive you do over and over and over again, like routine. A drive that is so normal that it takes something unearthly to make you question everything. The trio were just about to encounter something that wasn't just out of the ordinary, but completely out of this world.
lesbianism.
As they drove through the dense, shadowy forest, they noticed a bright light in the sky. At first, it seemed far off, like a plane or a star, but it quickly grew to a larger size and even brighter. Unfortunately for them, it grew closer. The light was so bright at first that they couldn't make out the shape of what was flying towards them. What appeared next is still debatable to this day. Just as they thought the lights were gone and hidden behind the trees, Beck and Vickie turned a corner around the hill and were greeted by a massive object that was floating right in front of them.
Ooh.
It was hovering just about above the road, suspended in midair, diamond-shaped figure to it.
Was it just like a glowing sphere, diamond-shaped object?
Yeah, it was a diamond-shaped object just like
glowing?
floating in the
Emanating,
middle of the
Are they
road.
just seeing the light, or are they just seeing, like, could they actually
They
see
could
the
see the
object, like,
they could
behind
see
the
the shape
light?
of
So the
object.
thing of the object too was that it was actually emanating like an intense heat. Flames were shooting out from the bottom side of this like diamond-shaped object.
Interesting.
And it was causing like according to the women, it was causing the road to like flicker and like start to affect the actual asphalt below. They knew they couldn't keep driving forward without risking even more danger. And despite Vickie's desperate pleas to get out of there, Betty, gripping the wheel tightly, tells her that she can't turn around without getting the wheel stuck in the thick mud on the side of the road. And the situation then escalated fast. The heat, the light, and the craft hovering above them, it was too much. And then, just as they were having a panic conversation, things got worse. The engine on Betty's brand new car dies. No warning, no sputter, just dead silence, except for the hum of the craft that was crackling flames and lighting up the dark road in front of them.
Ominous.
Ominous indeed.
The car was still, and the only thing cutting through the cold December air was the heat that was coming from this massive object. Vickie, overcome with fear and searching for any kind of explanation, turned to Colby, wide-eyed and trembling, and with a voice filled with awe and terror, she whispered to him, "That's Jesus."
That's Jesus.
Of course it is.
I mean, look,
You know
burning
what?
bush. How about this? Burning diamond.
Aliens.
Burning sky.
Everything in the Bible, aliens.
Aliens. Aliens. That I would believe.
Yeah.
It's believable.
You know what? What do you think those marshmallows taste like?
mean it's
Roasting
some-
them on the flames.
On the flames
yeah.
of...
Probably toxic.
They are not going to be
Probably
good
like
marshmallows, as you'll come to learn.
heavy metals,
I really
Like
wish this.
radiation poisoning.
Like radiation poisoning
heavy
marshmallows.
metals and stuff. Like
Yeah.
I could imagine like coppery. And
Oh, okay. I thought you were
Fucking
talking about
Fallout
just like
76.
whenever you bite the
Yeah.
marshmallow, it's just like dun 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 dun. dun.
That'd be better. No, I think this is way worse.
Vickie Landrum, a devout Christian, saw the glowing object as a sign of the end of times. The heat radiating from it was overwhelming.
My mom does that for everything. It's just wrong.
Repent.
That's just a Texas Christian for you.
Yep.
That is very small town America.
That's very small town America.
burning craft. Jesus.
Jesus.
End of times.
It's the end times.
Betty, ever curious and maybe too stunned to think clearly, stepped out of the car to get a better look. They told Colby to stay inside, and the two women did something either incredibly brave or unbelievably stupid.
Now, sweetheart, you stay here. I'm going to go talk to Jesus.
Talk to
I got
Jesus.
this, baby.
White people.
White people.
If this
White people shit.
I mean, to be fair, that's that new TikTok trend. White women are not afraid of anything.
White women aren't afraid of anything.
no,
They have no
They're
natural
not.
predators.
Listen,
Watch me do it. Hey, no.
Oh, that's yeah.
White women are like usually killed by serial killers, so I think that counts as
Fair.
look, I know I am a white woman. I am dating a white woman.
Like straight up, the kind that's just like armadillo. I'm going to play with it.
No.
I'm
That's
the
how you get Lyme
person.
disease.
Maybe you'll get leprosy.
That's
Yeah,
leprosy,
leprosy.
not
Deer's Lyme disease?
And yeah,
Ticks.
it's armadillos have leprosy, deers have ticks, and what was it?
Everything
has fucking
Koalas
ticks.
have chlamydia.
One of my goals in life is because I didn't grow up around white people, so I've been learning how to be a
What?
white woman. And I got white woman goals, like a bucket list. The cruise is one of them. Going on that cruise.
You got to complain, too.
There's more than one bucket.
When she crosses everything off the white woman bucket list, she goes, "You go, girlfriend."
If this was the end, they were determined to face it head on. But if it wasn't, they were willing to risk everything to stop it from doing any more harm. As soon as they left the safety of their Oldsmobile, the object emanated a strange, otherworldly beeping sound, which soon morphed into a low, persistent roar.
Someone try to make an otherworldly beepy sound.
For a woman that's driving an Oldsmobile in the 80s,
No, that's-
beep, beep, beep.
It was just a trailer backing up. It was just then that the flames erupted again, scorching the asphalt. Hold on.
Ass fuck?
Scorching the ass fuck.
We've been talking about too much gay shit.
Scorching the ass fuck.
I mean, it makes sense if they were worried about the rapture.
That's the title of my autobiography.
I'd watch that movie.
Then the flames erupted again, scorching the asphalt in front of them. That's when the full force of the heat hit Vickie. It wasn't uncomfortable, it was unbearable. At that moment, the chilling realization struck her. This wasn't Jesus, but
It was
something
the
far more
heat
terrifying.
of the
The devil.
moment.
It's the devil.
It felt like the fires at hell itself.
Yep.
Yep.
Panic took over. Vickie bolted back to the car, diving into the passenger seat as the object continued to burn with intense heat. The craft's flames lit up the surroundings, casting eerie shadows in the trees and reflecting off the now charred road. But it wasn't just the outside world feeling the intensity. Inside the car, Vickie and Colby were now baking. The temperature was rising to an unbearable level. In her frantic state, Vickie gripped the dashboard with both hands. That's when something horrifying happened. The heat inside the car was so intense that it actually melted the dashboard, leaving a clear imprint of her hands in the soft, warm plastic.
Newsflash, burning is unbearable.
Yes. The handprint became a chilling reminder of just how close they had come to something far beyond
Pretty
their
sure like
understanding.
cars back then were just like so much metal. That is like
No,
an
this
oven.
is-
It's straight up. Yes.
It's
I'm also kind of thinking about like running an old school engine like that without any coolant would probably create enough heat to melt your dashboard.
Yeah,
But the car wasn't running anymore,
So-
right?
No,
It
the
just-
car was off.
Right,
is-
because it fucking blew. She blew a gasket.
Hey, so
The engine was overheated, and her fucking hand.
this is actually one of the most documented cases. That's like, so like, even like police and like there was like
Mhm.
military involved in the
Yeah.
end because
It gets pretty wild
it's-
how deep this goes.
because it was like, no, this is truly unexplainable. Yeah,
Meanwhile, Betty,
keep your skeptic
yeah,
mind alive. I love
yeah,
it.
no, we need skeptics in the group. We can't have all believers. We need somebody to challenge it, right?
But I'm over here like I'm gonna fucking fuck you up.
I'm gonna drain your coolant.
It's not mine.
It's a rental.
Meanwhile, Betty was still outside, facing the full force of the heat. It blasted against her skin, but she couldn't tear her eyes away from the craft. She stood there, completely in awe of what was unfolding before her. It was unlike anything she'd seen before, something beyond imagination. Inside the car, Vickie was frantic, screaming Betty's name in terror, begging her to come back. Her voice cut through the night sky,
Baby,
and
come back.
filled with fear and
Sorry, I'm
desperation.
just going to randomly sing songs throughout this thing.
You can blame it all on me.
Or that thing. Do I come back?
Becky, come. Oh, no, it's
Betty, come back. Betty, come back. You can stop those aliens.
there it is. Finally, after a few agonizing seconds, Betty snapped back to reality. She turned and raced towards the car, the heat intensifying with every step. When she grabbed the door handle, a jolt of pain shot through her hand. The metal was so hot, it felt like it was searing her skin. Acting quickly, Betty shoved her hand into her leather jacket, using the thick material as protection.
There you go.
Badass grandma.
I'm
She's got
proud
a
of
leather
you.
jacket on.
It's like reaching your hand in an oven and you're like, oh fuck, I needed an oven mitt.
I don't usually have that problem.
I've seen it happen.
Okay.
Have you ever had the time when your oven mitt fails, though? Like it's
Yes.
an old ass oven mitt? And you're like, God damn it.
Ow! Ow!
Or you hold it for too
You
long.
failed me for the last
Can't
time.
really use an oven. I have hand tremors.
Oh, you don't have an oven anymore anyway. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have it anymore anyways. It's fine.
Your
What are
dog
you
will cook your
talking
dinner.
about?
Don't worry about it.
We'll teach Fern how to
She was just trying to cook
flambe
food.
it's
something.
like a sequel to Ratatouille.
a bad one.
She pried the door open and scrambled inside, her body trembling from the heat and the sheer shock of what she just witnessed. Now back inside the car, Betty, Vickie, and young Colby watched in stunned silence as the craft slowly began to move. It lifted off the ground, ascending higher and higher until it hovered above the treetops. The further it rose, the more the intense heat of the car began to fade. The stifling pressure seemed to ease as the craft disappeared from sight.
I definitely would have gotten out of the car if it was that stifling.
Right.
What do y'all think the kid is thinking right now?
I'm gonna
Oh,
die.
he's pure pants. He's peed
think
his
so?
pants at this point.
No.
I think he's like,
The
I think
car
he's
smells
asleep.
like baked shit.
And just like that, as if it was a miracle, Betty's car suddenly roared back to life. The engine started as if nothing had ever been wrong.
Didn't even have to turn the key.
It was just dead, apparently.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
like
she
even when
didn't
the
have to-
car dies, like you have
You remember
to.
like
You usually
old
have to like
vehicles?
turn the
It
key.
didn't
Yeah.
say, actually, in the articles that I was
which
reading.
means
I mean,
that
I'm
It says
assuming
that
she
it came
turned the
back
key.
to life. Yeah.
No, I'm gonna assume she didn't.
I don't.
But
If
what
this is
happened?
a true extraterrestrial event. She didn't turn the key; it just came back on.
But what happened next was even stranger. The craft wasn't the only thing in the sky that night. Just as they thought the encounter was over, a new sound filled the air. An intense, unmistakable roar that sent chills down their spines.
Was it a helicopter?
It wasn't aliens, though. Luckily, one by one, they spotted them. Helicopters. First one, then two, then three.
That's my best helicopter. That's all I can do.
Alex's best helicopter is a bubble machine.
There was a total of 23 helicopters that appeared overhead.
I counted.
They were all military style, like something straight out of a war movie. These weren't ordinary helicopters either.
I'm picturing Fortunate Son. Sorry.
No, they weren't ordinary helicopters.
These were massive, low-flying Chinook helicopters.
How did they? Chinook, that's definitely.
They're recognizable by their dual rotors.
Yeah, the dual rotors on the front and the back.
And if you've ever played Grand Theft Auto 5, they are the cargo bobs.
Yeah.
Yeah, about 3 hours ago.
Yeah,
That's the
they
Chinook.
lift and they can't fucking
my current
move for
playthrough,
shit.
actually.
So there was 23 of them. As the helicopter swarmed the sky, they were flying low enough that Betty and Vickie could make out the distinct markings on the side of them that read United States Air Force. It became clear that this was no routine operation. What left Betty and Vickie baffled was the question, were these helicopters chasing or escorting the craft?
Did you see what
Obviously not.
happened here? No, we didn't see anything. Well, neither did we.
Well, we're just here for routine drills.
We're just
Bump
seeing the
over.
sights, flying through.
But soon, the helicopters vanished from sight, following the mysterious craft into the distance. As the chaos subsided, Betty glanced down at her watch, which incredibly was still ticking the whole time, and was stunned to realize that the entire encounter only lasted 15 minutes.
Okay, so the craft
Why?
was only there for like the first 5.
Why is
Yeah.
she surprised her watch is working? What would
Because it shut down all
The
the, other
car
mechanical
shut down.
things like the car and
It's-
everything.
watches back then were like mechanical, yes, but in a like a. It was
They were
clockwork.
much more like analog.
Yeah, but so were cars back then too.
Not
Yeah.
like
They
as
weren't
much
like
as a
no
watch.
No,
cars
that's
didn't.
actually very
They weren't
valid.
very digital. Yeah, they weren't
Yeah.
very
That's
digital.
very valid.
That is valid.
Like nowadays, a car is like filled with computer
Electronics
chips
and-
and
yeah.
electronics, but back then not as much.
Yeah, when you press the brake, it was actually applying the brake. Now it's just
yeah,
telling
there
the
was
car
like
to
a
brake.
gear inside that would like.
Mhm.
That's my big.
After the events of that night, the women and young Colby rode the rest of the way home in complete silence.
Me when I hit a
turned-
pothole.
Oh, maybe the Johnny
We don't
Cash.
talk about
Maybe,
it.
maybe the,
Do you think Johnny Cash was still playing, or did they turn it down?
No, it melted the cassette.
They thought-
into
Oh, I'd be so mad.
burning ring
They
of
thought he was.
fire.
They thought he was the devil, so they didn't listen to John.
Yeah, after that. The drive must have felt endless. Each of them trapped in their own thoughts about trying to process what just happened.
No.
Seriously, like they were probably in shock the whole time.
That child didn't have any thoughts.
It's kind of like when you hit a deer
Just
on the
driving
road.
in silence for
And you just
25
keep
minutes.
going?
Did that just fucking happen?
That just happened.
That was us after our tornado incident.
That's actually a really good comparison.
Yeah, seriously.
person.
There wasn't much conversation between them, but they all came to a mutual understanding, and then they made a pact. They vowed that they would never speak of what happened that night to anyone.
The fuck you mean?
I did this,
They did a great job.
But
What do you mean never speak about it again? I would be telling everybody about that.
but we were okay with being crazy. Like we're totally cool with that. Like you can.
People
think I'm
already
crazy.
think I'm crazy.
Exactly. So, but like these are like uptight, like Christian women. that are,
Yeah,
like,
these are older
Yeah, they
women.
also still
who-
think I'm crazy.
But at this time, like people who spoke out about, there's like one of the guys who like literally spoke out for like 45 years about like his UFO like experiences. He says nowadays I would take it all back. It ruined my life. Like
Yeah.
just talking about it.
especially back then. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Unfortunately for them, that promise couldn't be kept long. Betty dropped off Colby and Vickie at their house at around 9:50 p.m. that night. The fear and adrenaline still coursing through their veins must have made it hard to walk, let alone sleep. I mean, shit, how could you sleep like after experiencing that?
I probably would have slept like a baby.
Yeah, no,
I don't know. I slept pretty well after the house.
I would have slept for at least 2 days.
After that much adrenaline, like you do want to.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you
Yeah, I guess
crash
so.
them.
The
You-
crashes.
after like weird traumatic events like that, you just crash the fuck out.
I mean, maybe like
Literally
it takes
after
a
the
day.
tornado, I slept for
Sometimes
16
it does
hours.
take like a day.
But Betty, Vickie, and poor little Colby, it wasn't just the fear and adrenaline keeping up that night. Almost immediately after they all got home, all three of them started to feel sick. Terrible flu-like symptoms came in out of nowhere. They were hit with profuse sweating, headaches, and consistent vomiting, and persistent pain that just wouldn't let up.
radiation poisoning.
By morning, it had even gotten
What?
worse.
Skeptic
When-
says what?
When-
What?
When Betty woke up the next day, her face and scalp were covered in blisters. She described it as the worst sunburn imaginable, but amplified 100 times over.
And this is coming from the generation that used to put baby oil and like bake themselves.
Yeah, well, think about it. Colby was a 7-year-old that was sitting in the front seat, probably with no seatbelt on.
Yeah.
Smoking cigarettes.
Smoking cigarettes with the windows closed, too.
He was holding the ashtray.
I should have a burn on my hand from sitting in the front seat while my mom was smoking a cigarette.
fuck.
Oh, shit.
And then she had a cow.
True story.
It was a black cow.
She saw an alien.
Damn.
It was nighttime, okay?
Oh man! And the cow had already been hit before, so it was in the middle of the road dying. And she hit it.
She hit the cow the second time.
Damn.
put it out
Did
of
she
its
at least put it
misery?
out of its misery?
Basically.
That's what that car was.
Okay.
Finish the job.
Not on purpose, but yes.
But yeah, the cigarette popped out of the ashtray.
Oh, fuck. That's just bad luck.
Luckily for Vickie and Colby, their symptoms were significantly milder, thankfully without the blistering.
So the person who got out of the car is the one who had it the worst?
It made sense if you think about it.
Yeah.
As
'cause
they
she
are
got
the
out of the car
ones-
and
Think about
ran
it very
towards
hard.
the thing. If you
They
get out of
was
the car
the
and run
ones
away
stayed
from
in the
thing,
protective
you're
shell.
probably in a better
Before the
situation.
car died, if you just put it in reverse.
White people problems.
After about 2 days, both Vickie and Colby began to recover. Betty, on the other hand, was not so fortunate. Over the next few
She's
weeks,
the one that got out of the vehicle?
yes,
Yeah.
her condition worsened. The flu-like symptoms persisted to a point of being unbearable. Her face then swelled so badly she could barely open her eyes, and most disturbingly, her hair began to fall out in huge clumps.
She was about ready to talk to Jesus for real.
I still wouldn't
What's
go
the
to
matter,
doctor.
smooth skin? You never seen a ghoul before?
Vickie tried to help her friend as best she could, bringing Betty to her house to take care of her. But by January 4th,
No one wants to go to the hospital, man.
just a few days after the incident, Vickie knew that there was nothing more she could do. Despite the fact that they had a pact of silence, it was clear that Betty needed professional medical attention, and it was time to get to the hospital. Betty's condition had gone beyond anything that they could have imagined, and the hope that it would just blow over was long gone. Betty refused to give any information to the doctors and refused to tell her the full story of what happened that night. According to reports, she stayed tight-lipped for nearly 12 more days during her hospital stay, even as the medical team worked tirelessly to try to figure out what could possibly explain her alarming symptoms. Betty knew exactly why she was so sick, but she didn't dare mention anything about UFOs or anything that she had seen that night out of fear of sounding crazy.
Ma'am, what did you do last night? Bingo!
I went to bingo.
went to bingo.
Can't you just be like, I stuck my head in a
Can
microwave?
you be
or
more
something?
specific? B9.
It wasn't until a kid with a big mouth spilled the beans. Colby came to visit Betty
So the
one
kid
day
did speak.
Fucking
And-
Colby's a narc.
in the hospital.
This is not 30 years later. Like, oh yeah, it's definitely aliens. He's like, nah, this shit happened.
Colby came to visit Betty in the hospital one day, and while doctors were in the room, he let them know the entire story. He told them everything that happened about during that fateful night. It was then finally that Betty confessed to the medical team. She explained why her symptoms were so strange. She admitted that right before they started, she said, and I quote, "He had a close encounter with an inexplicable flying object." Whether the doctors believe Betty's story or not still remains unclear, but one thing is certain. It didn't take them long before they moved her into her own room and slapped the door with a biohazard sticker. The gravity of her condition was undeniable. Betty's battle was far from over. She was hospitalized 3 more times in the following month. And after extensive testing, the doctors could only come to one chilling conclusion. Betty was suffering from an acute radiation poisoning.
Raisination poisoning.
Fucking called it.
Raisin.
Yeah, she was,
Raisination.
she was
now,
super
Lynn-
raisin.
But now, Lynn, explain why she has the radiation poisoning. Where does it come from?
I
Did it
don't
come
know.
from the car dying, Clay?
Yes.
How? Is there a radiation?
It was an Oldsmobile. Who knows?
We know.
You know how much shit was unregulated in the 80s?
Yeah.
There was
Not
lead in
that
Literally.
that.
There's no fucking radiation coming from... God damn it.
Regardless of whether the doctors believed in UFOs or not, I think diagnosing the radiation poisoning is no small thing, like we're saying. They knew without a doubt that Betty had been exposed to something far beyond the realm of normal, a type of exposure that no ordinary person, let alone an older woman living in rural East Texas, would ever encounter.
I want to know if anyone examined the road after this.
We'll get to that.
Ooh.
This is where things get even stranger. While Betty was still receiving treatment, Vickie took it upon herself to file a police report on her behalf. Meanwhile, Betty's year-old Oldsmobile was starting to fall apart. The engine was now struggling to run, the clock and the radio had stopped working, and the intense heat from the craft had even melted the plastic on the car's headlights.
So you're saying the radiator burned?
Maybe.
He did not say that.
Sounds like the car failed.
The car did fail. It could be a lemon. You don't know
year-old
that they're
car.
connected. It could be correlation, not causation.
The police in Dayton, however, were very dismissive. They told Vickie that there was nothing that they could do and suggested that she actually contact the National UFO Reporting Center in Seattle, Washington.
Ooh.
Bitches.
No, to be fair though, like what are you gonna do?
As a cop,
Yeah.
that's not his jurisdiction.
You're a small town Dayton cop, just like
What are you going to do?
You got yeah.
you got radiated by aliens.
But like to suspect the U.S. military at this point should be a thing.
I feel like they would at least have some sort of duty to make sure that this would not happen again, and probably
Right.
and probably at
resources.
least call to like I don't know the fucking FBI
Or at least close off the area
Yeah.
or something.
But like,
But no, but even at that, like to like put her into contact with someone who could possibly investigate.
well, they did.
this.
Right.
They
The
did.
UFO.
So-
no, that's for the crazy people back then. That's
But
what
when
they
she-
connected to the crazy people too.
But when she called the National UFO Reporting Center, they then told her to call the Aerial Phenomenon Research Group, or the APRO. This team connected her with John Schuessler, a former NASA engineer who decided to make the long trip to Dayton to investigate the incident personally. Once Schuessler began his research, he talked to locals and gathered evidence. He quickly realized that Vickie, Colby, and Betty weren't the only ones that had experienced something strange that night. Several other residents in the area had reported seeing unusual lights in the sky, further validating the Cash-Landrum encounter wasn't an isolated incident at all.
I could definitely see it being though like a U.S. experiment, like a bomb of some sort,
Or just like a
a craft they
Yeah.
were experimenting with.
Yeah.
Other locals in Dayton also reported seeing a diamond-shaped craft floating in the air that very same night, all within the same 30-minute window that Betty and Vickie described their encounter. One witness even claimed he initially thought it was a blimp, but upon closer inspection, he saw the diamond-shaped object shooting flames and floating in the air. In May 1982, 1 year later, UFO investigators interviewed Dayton police officer patrolman Lamar Walker and his wife Marie. Walker and his wife confirmed seeing a formation of about 12 Chinook-style helicopters flying in the same area at about roughly the same time as the incident. Though they didn't report seeing any UFOs or unexplained lights, they did note that one or more of the helicopters had bright lights searching the area aimed at the ground, as though that they were actively looking for something. This testimony added another layer of credibility to the claim that the significant military presence had been mobilized in connection with the strange craft that night. In total, 10 people reported seeing the mysterious craft, and another 8 confirmed seeing the helicopters.
I believe in a shady U.S. government far before.
That's what this feels like the most, right?
Yeah,
Touchdown,
so
yeah.
100%. I do think that it could possibly be that, but the only thing that I think that discounts that is that so a lot of documents disclosing aerial craft from the Air Force and stuff has come out since then. Because it's such old technology, it's now been advanced, and there's like even more secretive stuff now.
Right.
Yeah.
No diamond-shaped crafts have been.
What's even wilder is when John Schuessler discovered during his investigation, through his connection with other UFO investigators, he learned that the road that the event occurred appeared to have been freshly paved over. Then rumors surfaced that a team of construction workers had been seen on the site at 6 a.m. the morning after the incident.
So I can definitely see it as a government cover-up on one of their fuck-ups.
Definitely a cover up, but like, so they paved over the road, but like if it was that big, like that it was encompassing that much, like it had to have like affected the area around the ground too, like around the road, like the trees and shit.
As Schuessler continued his investigation and Betty's condition worsened, the story caught the attention of journalists. Before long, what started as a strange localized event erupted into a national news sensation. Reporters swarmed Betty, eager for a statement. Despite the intense media attention, Betty remained firm to her skepticism. She said, and I quote, "I never believed in UFOs," she admitted in one interview. "I was the first one to laugh. Now, I'm afraid to look up." Poor Betty didn't fare well in the months following her release from the hospital. Her health deteriorated to a point where she needed to move back home to Alabama to live with her mother, who could provide the care and help that she desperately needed. Despite everything she had been through, Betty held on to the belief that what they witnessed that night wasn't a UFO, but rather some kind of secret government technology.
It's a smart woman.
Smart one.
Except for how she got out of the car.
Yeah, exactly.
You said you do work.
She's a smart white woman.
He didn't say what he was going to do was smart.
Yeah, I never claimed to be like more intelligent than her.
You can get out of the car. Just run away from the thing. Don't run towards the thing.
I wouldn't get out of the car at all.
I would if I was overheating. Like
I'd just go, damn, that's wild.
fucking book it.
It was here that the conspiracy really took hold. When reporters started to question the commanding officer of Fort Hood, he flatly denied that any aircraft from his base were in the air that night. He claimed to have conducted his own investigation and found that no other military base in the area, all the way to Louisiana, had dispatched helicopters that night. All claimed to know nothing about the mysterious event, only deepening the sense of a cover-up surrounding the strange encounter.
100%.
He told the press, and I quote, "I don't know what it could be, unless it's a super secret thing going on, and I wouldn't necessarily know about it." End quote.
That's obfuscation at best.
That's a fucking cop-out, dude.
So one of the things that I've been learning is that like there's knowledge about these crafts or whatever, or like these unknown phenomena. Even within like departments, there's like one or two people that know, and like nobody else knows in the department.
Well, but like if so 23 Chinook helicopters go, that's more than just a department.
Yeah.
Right. No,
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying.
that
But like
being
only
said,
one or two from each
So
department.
what
would
he
know
just
about
said
it,
is, I conducted my own investigation, and unless there's a reason why I wouldn't get to know,
which there would be.
which there absolutely
Listen,
would be.
I'll make a very fun comparison. The pork industry can now investigate themselves and do their own inspections.
Oh, that's
And
great.
we're having listeria outbreaks for the first time in years.
Yep. It all came to a head when Inspector General of the U.S. Army, Lieutenant Colonel George Thuron, said even he did some digging and could not find any evidence that the helicopters witnessed that night even belonged to the U.S. military.
You can't prove it's
They
mine.
wouldn't.
Look, I looked into it, dude. That shit's not mine.
That is literally.
Got your fucking logo on it, man.
See, but
That's
like,
not my weed. It's in your car.
It's in your car. It's like when the cop pulls you over and you say, "That's not my weed," you're holding it.
You're under.
the thing about it is like this just proves deny, deny, deny. Like,
100%.
like no, you can't say you don't know that's mine.
And what's wild is the case ended up breaking wide open by Vickie herself, all by accident. In April 1981, a Chinook helicopter flew into the Dayton area. Poor Colby, he, at the sight of the massive helicopter, immediately triggered memories of the traumatic encounter months prior, sending him into a panic
But
attack.
the kid was fucked up at this. Yeah.
Of course, the kid was fucked
He
up.
straight
I know,
up
but these ones
had
are like, oh,
PTSD over a helicopter.
Yeah. Every time an air show comes, he just shits his pants.
Poor kid.
Oh god.
Close to Fort Hood.
Yeah.
Kid.
Hoping to ease his fear, Vickie decided to take him to the landing site of where the helicopter had touched down, thinking that seeing it up close might make it less frightening. However, when they arrived, they found that a crowd of people had already gathered, and they had to wait to get inside the helicopter to speak to the pilot. When Vickie and another visitor finally had their chance to talk to the pilot, they both claimed that the pilot said something remarkable. He says that he had been in the area previously to check on a UFO in a distress near Huffman, a different city. This immediately caught Vickie's attention, as Huffman was the exact location where the strange encounter with the diamond-shaped craft had occurred.
Pilot gave it away.
Oh, I mean,
Everybody on the top brass.
To be fair,
like, fuck no.
no, yeah, the top brass always says like,
But the-
no, but
but
the
the
guy that's
pilot-
flying the fucking Chinook is
Oh,
just
yeah,
like,
I've been
yeah,
out here
I was
before."
here last year, dude. This is crazy.
Vickie expressed relief at seeing the pilot, telling him that she was one of the people burned by the UFO. The pilot's demeanor shifted abruptly. He quickly shut down the conversation, refusing to talk further, and hurried them out of the helicopter.
Did I fuck up?
Straight up.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
This interaction fueled Vickie's suspicion and belief that the military was involved with this strange craft that had harmed her, Betty, and Colby.
It's like when you talk to the client before the vet
shit.
does.
So
Yeah, exactly.
And yeah, they don't know what's
They're like,
fucked up about
"Oh,
their pet yet.
I shouldn't have said that.
So hold on. That's what confirmed her suspicion, not seeing 23 Chinook helicopters labeled
No,
United States
100%.
Air
She knew
Force.
her experience, but like someone else confirmed it too.
Yeah, now
you know?
it's like, oh, I didn't just imagine that.
Or like,
He was-
not
I don't
everyone.
think anyone would imagine.
the
had a
US
dream-
government,
Fucking 23 used to have helicopters.
the U.S. government at this point is gaslighting her, right? And like everybody involved. Like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
That's all they do,
You're right.
homie.
Yeah.
However, upon further investigation by UFO researchers, this confrontation seemed to be a result of a mix-up. The pilot's incident reportedly involved another unidentified craft, but it took place in July 1977.
He had to be debriefed.
I
He
was
had to be
flying over a
like,
different
no,
Carl's Jr.
You didn't do this.
Despite the
It was
confusion, the encounter with the pilot left Vickie convinced that the military knew.
this. That's what the pilot was told to say after.
No. This is the thing. Is his incident was in 1977.
That's what they say.
In the same area.
in the same
That's what
area.
they say.
Yeah.
The involvement of the helicopters, whether they were there to chase, escort, or monitor the object, remains one of the most perplexing aspects of this encounter. Despite repeated denials from the military authorities, witnesses like Vickie and Betty, as well as other locals, were adamant that something extraordinary had occurred. The mystery only deepened as more details came to light. Around this time, both Betty and Vickie had reached their breaking point. The events of that night had completely upended their lives, especially for Betty, who was now buried under a mountain of hospital bills from her deteriorating health. Desperate for answers and compensation,
Healthcare.
the two women began writing letters almost daily to congressmen, senators, and anyone who they thought could help. They were convinced that whatever had happened that night had to be tied to the government. The helicopters, the strange craft, none of it seemed coincidental. For 18 grueling months, they hit a dead end after dead end. No one was willing to take their claims seriously. Vickie, relentlessly in her pursuit of justice, kept pushing, refusing to let the government ignore them. Then, finally, after what felt like an eternity, she got a call that they had been waiting for. The U.S. Air Force was ready to sit down and talk. This was the first glimmer of hope that someone in a position of power was finally willing to listen. The two women were instructed to travel to Bergstrom Air Force Base in Austin, Texas. Hopefully,
Austin mentioned.
Austin.
Bergstrom.
hopeful that things were finally turning around. They were reassured by Air Force officials that they were there to help them in any way they could. And for the first time since that fateful night, it seemed like the U.S. government was ready to take accountability. Betty and Vickie sat down, shared their stories, and for once, it felt like they were being heard. The officials appeared sympathetic, leaving the women with a sense of relief. At the end of their meeting, the officials advised Betty and Vickie to hire a civil lawyer with their promise that the U.S. government would be in touch. As they left the base, however, the women left scratching their heads, uncertain of what would happen next.
Nothing.
Soon after, the Air Force sent an officer from the Texas Bureau of Radiation Control to the site of the encounter. But after 9 months, unsurprisingly, nothing was found.
Yeah, they investigated themselves.
I have found I've done nothing wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
No, we looked into it. There was nothing there.
Actually,
nothing
man,
there.
we're going to fine you for causing radiation poisoning on this ground.
Betty and Vickie took the advice seriously and sought legal representation. They hired an attorney named Peter Gretson. Gretson was a quirky and unconventional figure who would later make bizarre claims, including his intention to jump from a bell tower at the exact moment the world was supposed to end in 2012.
What?
Wait, what?
A stunt that he never followed through on.
Oh.
Damn, I was going to make some sort of joke of like, oh, that was my my yearbook quote in high school.
Gretson-
Then you mentioned the 2012 world ending. and
Apparently,
it
Gretson
my
was
head.
known for taking UFO cases and trying to sue the United States.
Oh, so this guy was
He was a
crazy,
weirdo.
crazy.
He was
Yeah.
quirky.
He
No.
was quirky. They call me
So,
quirky
look-
too, bitch. It's just autism.
Yeah, right? Instead of a fucking
What
lunatic.
you guys are missing, right? Is like everyone always says that when you believe in UFOs and you like speak about
You're
it,
crazy.
You lose money, right?
Yeah.
He found a way to make money.
Facts.
Honestly, you're right.
With his
Smart.
help, Betty and Vickie filed a $20 million lawsuit for damages.
Woo.
The case moved painfully slow and dragged on for years as Betty's health continued to decline, and she struggled to fight debt collectors. Their long battle for justice had just begun.
I totally misheard that in her death collectors.
I mean, that's what they are. In August of 1986, the U.S. District Court judge presiding over Betty and Vickie's case ruled that there was no evidence to suggest that any crafts, including the 23 helicopters seen over Dayton that night, belonged to the U.S. government. There was no record of the mysterious diamond-shaped craft, and with that, years of pain, suffering, and legal struggles came to an abrupt end.
Meow.
Their case was quickly dismissed,
Meow.
Meow.
and just like that, it was all over.
They didn't get anything out of it, did they?
Nope.
The
Not
only
a
one that ever
penny.
gets away with that's not mine is the U.S. government.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
also, this happens
I mean,
to be in
they're
the
the
best part of time to actually be like, not mine, because it's really fucking hard to prove it at that point.
Yeah.
It's not
Also,
like everyone
like-
has a camera in their pocket.
To many, this decision screamed cover-up. The entire situation felt wrong, as though something was deliberately being concealed. Betty and Vickie had paid the price for something they never wanted to be a part of, caught in the crosshairs of an experience they couldn't explain and didn't ask for. Unfortunately for them, critics, of course, wasted no time in picking apart their story. Some pointed out that neither woman could accurately pinpoint the exact location of the incident, and their descriptions of the craft's shape became muddled, which Becky and Vickie attributed to the blinding bright lights of the craft that they saw that night. It was heartbreaking to see that these two ordinary women who had experienced something extraordinary have their characters questioned and their stories scrutinized. What made it even worse was the skeptics who suggested something more bizarre, that Betty and Vickie's symptoms were just the result of Munchausen by proxy.
Ah, so
What?
so
Wait.
Vicky stuck Betty's head in a microwave.
Yeah.
No, wait, no. Okay,
What?
keep
They
going.
were critics of theirs were claiming for years afterwards that the two women were just making up all the sickness and
And
illnesses
feeding
for
on each
attention.
other and going back
I
and
The
wanna-
hair loss and the blisters.
I'd like to.
I have no idea.
And then just the
wait,
radiation.
I'd like
in
to-
general.
Radiation poisoning.
In the end, Betty Cash faced an unfortunate fate. For nearly 2 decades, she remained under constant medical care, unable to work, and despite critics accusing her of faking her symptoms, the toll on her health was undeniable. And at 69 years old, Betty passed away after a prolonged battle with cancer. In a strange twist of
Not
fate,
surprised it was cancer.
she died on December 29th, 1998, just 1 day short of the 18th anniversary of the sighting that altered her life forever. Vickie Landrum lived longer, passing away at the age of 83 in the year 2007.
Damn.
Yeah, she lived a long time. As for Colby, he's actually still alive. He's a grown man now. And
Still a narc.
one can only
Still a narc.
wonder if he'll ever find
never
the
live it
answers to the mystery that haunted their lives forever and that tied them to that eerie night in 1980. And that's it.
So my opinion on this incident is that the U.S. government did some hokey bullshit.
So it was definitely a cover up in some.
Oh no, beyond a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah,
like
100%.
the U.S. government is not someone we
So
trust.
this is agreed.
Absolutely fucking not.
That is undoubtable.
hmm
Whether or not I guess to be fair to her, Betty definitely saw a UFO.
Yeah.
Because to her, it was not an identifiable
Right.
flying object.
Look,
It
and,
wasn't
and
a UFO. It was a UFO.
Right.
Right.
I don't know that it was an extraterrestrial or
right.
like interplanar travel.
I can 100% seeing it being like a U.S. government
Yeah.
experiment. gone.
Right.
Th-
like,
when I started this research, I thought it was going to be 100% a like true, like this is a UFO that came in and they
which,
have
like, to be fair,
and the
as a
U.S.
skeptic,
government it was
I
chasing
wanted it to be so bad.
as a
You always
skeptic,
want it to be.
and
Yeah.
I always
Really?
want
I
it
have
to
to
be.
I mean,
acknowledge.
it was bad.
And then I am disappointed.
I have to acknowledge
It was
that as
bad
a
in that
skeptic,
sense.
I have to say, I can't say it wasn't an alien
Right.
craft.
No, of course not.
but
Definitely radiation poisoning happened.
But radiation poisoning did happen to that
Right.
woman. The U.S. government did shut her the fuck down
hmm
and completely demoralized and completely like removed any possibility that there could be an investigation in truth.
right.
So
I'm like in the 95% camp that this was a U.S. government.
Yeah.
cover-up.
Yeah.
I can only echo my previous sentiment, which is I would put a United States military government
Absolutely.
conspiracy far before any sort of extraterrestrial phenomenon.
Mm-hmm.
On this one, 100%.
well, and like my thing about it is like, unfortunately, they're really hard to dissect because like if it were like a true UFO or a UAP, then the U.S. government absolutely could have been identifying, like trying to track it
or
Yeah.
something.
and
yeah.
then cover that up.
Yeah.
it could be either or.
It,
yeah.
it could
In all
definitely.
likelihood, it is a U.S. government fuck up.
Yeah.
I'm much more in the camp of like this is a U.S. government fuck up that they just really just deny.
Just curious, like, well, at some point, because we do actually at some point we did actually start monitoring when things started entering the atmosphere, including like asteroids.
Well,
or-
satellites
Yeah, I'm
were
not sure when that was.
satellites before that.
well, yeah, and satellites before that. So
Yeah.
like at that point,
And they were already sending things that weren't people into the
and as they're
like,
as they're releasing things, it would have been something coming in or something going out, and as
Yeah.
things are getting released nowadays, it would have been an easy thing to explain it away if you can actually monitor something going out at that time.
Right.
But if nothing goes out, then it has to be from.
And the
here.
Chinook helicopters were not escorting the thing. They were actually trying
Yeah.
trying to like
Well, I mean,
make
based-
sure it got out.
Based on what you said,
Based
in
on what you
your
said, there was-
report,
there
it
was-
sounded like they were
chance.
searching for it.
It
more.
sounded
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
so. There was probably what I'm
Shit
picturing.
got away from us.
What I'm picturing
they were
is
like,
like
where the fuck
Fuck,
that
dude,
go?
we lost the experimental radiation craft.
Yeah.
Which also sounds
That's what
like
I
the U.S.
think, too.
government.
Yeah,
Like they
I'm
fucked
picturing
I think
two
they-
teams
Fucking Todd hit the
canvassing.
launch button.
They identified where it was. They conjoined, and then they
Goddamn
tracked
Marcus.
it.
Yeah.
Or to
Marcus.
Lynn's point, I'm thinking it was a U.S. like craft that they were testing in the middle of the night in
Yeah.
winter.
Because
right?
Dayton, if I may be way off here, but Dayton's not that far from Fort Hood.
Right. No, it's not. And so like then it started coming down because the test was failing. The Chinooks were there to find
The
it because
reason
they were
I
like, we don't
find
want to
that
crash this
debatable
thing.
is because we don't have craft like that these days, and there's
No.
nothing that's ever come out from any other country.
I mean, but
that
they
mimicked
there
our-
there are U.S. reports of like they tried to build
100%,
things, but they always
they've all-
failed. This could be one of those.
And they
Yeah.
released a whole
But
bunch
they
of them
didn't
that
even,
they.
like they barely got off the ground. Kind of failed.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the saucer
Not-
one.
Yeah,
Like they didn't.
I don't know,
even
man.
make
This
it into
this seemed to turn into like a semi-national fucking conspiracy. They probably don't want to admit to it.
right.
Yeah, my sources are a book that you can find on Amazon. Let me pull it up. And of course, the internet. Yeah, the book that I'm referencing is the Cash-Landrum UFO Incident. 3 Texans are injured during an encounter with the UFO and military helicopters. Oh, by John F. Schussler, the
Oh, the guy who
investigator.
actually conducted the
Yeah.
investigation. That's pretty neat, actually.
He put out a book. All right, well, that's a wrap on today's story. I had a great time sharing it, and I hope you enjoyed listening to it just as much as I enjoyed making it. It was a lot of fun. This series is a fresh direction for us here at the podcast, and we want to expand our journey. So if you want us to keep diving deeper, let us know on Instagram at Sunshine Headline Pod. And feel free to leave us a comment on Spotify or YouTube because we post on YouTube. I don't know if you guys know that. Please let us know what you guys think. And I think we're going to continue next week with more headlines, and then we'll have somebody else read a long story as well.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, thank you, everyone, and we'll see you next week.